One of the surprising things was just my class size and how closely together everybody works in my department in particular. It's a very small department, and most of the people are actually distance learners. So as for like on-campus, face-to-face people, some of my classes we've only had like 5 or 3 students. So that was really surprising, and because of that has led to a lot of different sorts of classroom experiences. Like, I think it would be really awkward for my professors to stand up and give like a formal lecture when there's only 2 of us sitting there. So it's led to a lot of more creative kind of classroom presentations, which has been really fun.
Yes, the most remarkable experience I've had in the classroom my first 2 years was actually with my professor, Dr. Palmer, in the biology department. He taught Bio 2, and he taught the ecology section of that. And I just remember it was the last section, and so many students by that point, you know, it's Bio 2, so you've already gone through Bio 1, and it's the 3rd section. You have a couple weeks left in the semester, and a lot of students are already either not showing up to class or just kind of showing up and not taking notes and not really being active or really listening to what Dr. Palmer has to say. And he came in and just created this very comfortable atmosphere, and he became very relatable. And what kind of, I think, sparked that atmosphere and what made him so relatable is that he came in and shared his life story and his experiences, not only the successes but the failures, and what kind of led him up to where he was now teaching us. And that really just made him relatable, and it made everyone, you know, perk up and realize that he is actually invested in us, not just lecturing, but actually teaching and mentoring. And so that really opened me up to going to his office hours more, and just because I wanted to speak with him more, not even necessarily about the subject, but just about his life experiences, because they were so similar to kind of what I was going through at the time. So that was, I think, my favorite undergrad experience so far.
So the short office visits, how did she set those up? Was it something that everybody was required to do? Was it an optional thing? Oh, so sorry.
It was required, and it was like just kind of an introduction. We also have to do something called Get to Know You, so I think that helps her also introduce herself. So she's not only talking to you, but she's also looking at this paper going, okay, this is what they're like, this is what they want to do, these are their goals and aspirations, or they're not really sure what their goals and aspirations are, how can I help them? So with those specifically, I believe the intro class probably has around 80 students in it, so it's a little bit smaller than your average biology or chemistry lecture for Bio 1, Bio 2 even. So she passes around a sign-up sheet, and there's literally like office times written on there, and a lot of them are during her office hours or during like the first 2 weeks of school. She'll set up a little bit of extra time, set that aside so she can actually have students come in during those times that work for them. And if for some reason it's not on the list, she's very, very open to having people email her and let her know, hey, like I have class at this time, is there any way that we can meet for like coffee or something outside of your office hours, or even set up an extra 30 minutes to talk to someone.
So did she meet with you all like more than once during the semester, or was it that introductory meeting?
It was the introductory meeting, and her hopes were that with that introductory meeting you would be a little bit more comfortable coming to office hours and really walking in there, because a lot of first-year students, even second-year students, are really uncomfortable going to see professors. It can be very intimidating to go and talk to them, I think, sometimes. So she really was trying to make them a little bit more comfortable coming in and seeing that office hours aren't something that's scary, and your professors really aren't people that are going to look down on you if you ask them questions. I think that experiential learning component does a lot, because sorry, I'm a huge proponent of experiential learning. I know you mentioned earlier that you actually got to go to the downtown festival, which is awesome because you get to like actually go out there and help educate out there. But I think that has a huge impact on students in the classroom as well. I guess outside of the classroom technically. But we also did service learning and the intro level course, and that was really cool just to be able, number one, to go out into the Gainesville community, but also it also engages you in that critical thinking, like, okay, why am I doing this? Like, what is the purpose behind this professor having me go out and engage in the community around Gainesville, or sometimes in Eustis, and a couple other areas throughout the state as well. So like once again, the why behind it, but it also helps students begin to picture themselves out in the community. And that can be scary as a freshman, coming in and going, okay, like, I still have 3 more years here, but I think it helps them start to visualize where they want to go and narrow down kind of, okay, what kind of things do I like to do? Yes, I like working with children, but do I like working in a more medical component, or do I like working in a more other engaging methods and different teaching areas as well?
And I think the sooner you do that, the better also, because in my figure everything else out kind of as I went, and I came to the grad program here kind of still confused about what I wanted to do. I have another outside job that has nothing to do with education, and I came to the art ed program just basically to keep my certification up, and having no clue what my direction was. I kind of knew that I didn't want to be a classroom teacher forever, or maybe anymore at all, that it's just not the direction that I wanted to pursue. And we had in all of my core art ed classes, we had the option to do a project in lieu of paper that let me kind of look at the research I was doing and see how I could design a project, either a visual kind of thing. We had the option to do a podcast, or create a YouTube video or something like that. And with all of mine, I was just drawn to doing a community event. So for all of my projects, I did things in the community. I organized something for Pop-Up Culture that was here on campus in the fall semester. We did something during the Gainesville Active Streets. We did something, we did an event during 352 Creates, which was something that Arts and Medicine kind of sponsored. So I found myself always like, oh, I have a project, I'm going to do a community event. I'm going to do a community event. And then, towards the end of last semester, I was like, oh, well, I guess this is the direction that I'm going. I'm going in the direction of community education. And kind of through my, researching other people who were doing that, seeing that as a valid concentration. And, well, I'm not just here spinning my wheels, getting credits to keep my certification up. I'm here investigating, what community art education is and what the opportunities are in that, and, how can my professors help me to develop that into, a career path. So just having the option to do a project and do it for credit, not just, as something extra that I'm doing on top of, my classes, my GTA hours, really was validating and I think really effective for me.
I have professors that make it a point to call every single student in the class at least once a week throughout our discussions, and they will call you by name because they get to know your name. So they're a little bit smaller courses, probably around 40 to 50 people, sometimes a little bit larger, but they make it a point throughout the semester to get to know who you are, but they try and facilitate is a little bit more so what it is rather than being called out. So they ask you your thoughts and opinions, or if you've ever had these kinds of experiences.
It's not like it's a right or wrong answer.
Exactly, and I think that idea of making it more of a facilitation, and your thoughts and personal views on things, as well as making it, okay, if they're looking for an answer, they're going to go, okay, well, that's interesting, but like, does anybody else have any thoughts? And opens it up for a couple more thoughts, and really works to make it a discussion rather than a, no, that's not right, like, this is a yes or no question. There's no in between.
Or you're almost there.
And yeah, and there
Does
is.
anyone have anything else?
Yes.
For me, sometimes
Yes.
as a student too, I do appreciate when a teacher says no, that's not the right answer sometimes, because sometimes there is a right answer, or maybe at least an answer you're looking for. And I do appreciate that. I just think it's in the approach of how the professor does that, of not just no, next person, but actually then explaining the reasoning behind it. Which I think there's a certain approach with that can make students comfortable. And yeah, you also brought something up that I also sparked something. When a professor takes the time to learn students' names and then actually use them, that, at least for me, goes very long.
It also keeps everybody. The best statement I've seen that's really influenced how I feel about students using technology is from Louis C.K., the comedian. on one of the episodes of his show, he gets so upset because he's sitting at a play with his daughter, and his daughter's on her cell phone. And he gets so angry, and he's just, berating her for being on her cell phone. And she's like, you don't even know what I was doing. Because, just because you're learning just from looking at it, I was on Google and I found what this actor's name was, I found what his connection was to this play, I looked up the song lyrics, I was doing this and this, and I found out what this whole scene was about. And, she explained to him, like, this is how I learn, I multitask, and I'm finding all these other, areas of interest that are helping me connect to what's going on in a way that maybe I can't just by watching. So that really, I thought, spoke to the way that people learn nowadays, and whether it's as effective as just focusing on one thing, I think is yet to be determined. But I think it's inevitable that that's the way people are used to having information being presented to them now, is being able to see something and then immediately go and Google it and find out, how it relates to them or how they could best understand it.